During the first Quincy invasion, one of the most impactful battles that had left an impression upon me was As Nodt's one-sided massacre of Byakuya. Now this is where the Sternritter had stolen his Bankai and had used it against him, repeatedly battering him with Senbonzakura Kageyoshi until Byakuya was on the verge of death. Now a lot of fans, including myself, had hoped for Byakuya to get some sweet revenge against the Sternritter, but to our surprise, Rukia had ended up encountering As Nodt after the Quincy had returned during their second invasion. In my opinion, this was an excellent way for Rukia to demonstrate the results of her training, and it had additionally given As Nodt an opportunity to reveal his menacing holy form. Now this battle features a highly anticipated Bankai reveal, the return of Byakuya onto the battlefield, and lastly As Nodt showcasing his full power. So without further delay, let's deep dive into one of the most iconic battles of the second Quincy invasion. This is my breakdown and analysis of Rukia vs As Nodt. Before the video begins, only 12% of the people who watch my content are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy these videos, then subscribe and stick around for more content just like this. Now let's get back to the topic of the video. As Nodt easily takes the place as one of the most terrifying villains to feature within Bleach. He was involved in two of the most memorable encounters during the final arc of the series. The way that he had mercilessly taken out Byakuya ensured that he had left a lasting impression upon all of us. Then his battle against Rukia gave us a very satisfactory end to his character following the reveal of his holy form, and how his fearsome demeanor was worthy of him being able to see Rukia's beautiful Bankai, which he uses to effortlessly take down the formidable Sternritter. Their battle begins when Rukia arrives within the Serite, which has been transformed into the Vandenreich city. She searches for the Reiatsu of any surviving Shinigami, and in chapter 566 she thinks about waiting for Renji and together for them to charge towards the Quincy castle. She is then unexpectedly confronted by As Nodt, who creepily grabs her arm, as she instantly pulls it away, wondering what on earth was this strange sensation that she had just felt. She can sense a spiritual pressure as she asks who is there, and As Nodt finally reveals himself behind her as he questions whether if she is afraid, and he repeatedly says that he is lonely. Rukia is visibly shaken, especially after the Sternritter starts to mourn the loss of Senbonzakura. She deduces that he was responsible for stealing her brother's Bankai and beating him until he was on the verge of death. While on the other hand, he identifies her as Byakuya's younger sister, asking her where he is, as she tells him that she is under no obligation to reveal his location to him. The battle begins after As Nodt taunts whether if Byakuya will appear after Rukia is killed. She looks firm in her expression as she stands her ground, saying that he may if As Nodt dares to do such a thing. The Quincy goes on to create spiked projectiles made up of reishi, and he fires these thorns towards Rukia. Thankfully, she is able to easily avoid these attacks, but she notices that something is leaking from the spots that have been hit by the Sternritter spikes. She wonders if this is his fear ability at play. Rukia defends herself from one of the spikes by activating Sori no Shirayuki, however a black liquid penetrates her defenses. As Nodt then states that his fear cannot be stopped by her ice. The substance touches and infects her with fear, making the Sternritter laugh as Rukia appears to freeze up in terror. But in a strange turn of events, she questions whether if the Quincy is afraid of his fear having no effect on his opponent, as Rukia appears to now be unaffected by his power. As Nodt states that it's impossible for fear to have no effect upon someone, but Rukia challenges him to use his spikes again so that she can instead make him feel fear. She goes on to reveal the results of her training within the royal palace by showing off the real Sori no Shirayuki. He fires several reishi spikes towards her, which she grabs by her hand and freezes them. Rukia reveals that it had taken her time to draw out the true power of a Zanpakuto, as she couldn't afford to be hit by him until her body was accustomed to her power. As Nodt reiterates that his fear cannot be prevented by ice. His fear does not enter through wounds. His black substance, which represents his fear ability, requires only a small amount of the liquid to make contact with the target's skin so that it can dissolve into their body. He confidently states that this power cannot be guarded against, explaining that people have objects of relief and objects of fear. When they enter a place of relief and are asked why they feel relief, they say that it's just because, and the answer isn't clear. However, when someone enters into a place of fear, everyone will easily be able to pinpoint the reason for their fears, describing it as darkness, coldness, height, confinement, pain, filthiness. They will give a long list of reasons for why they feel afraid, and this is because relief is linked to life and fears are linked to death. People struggle to come up with a reason to live, but they will easily be able to give you a reason not to die. As Nodt believes that all living things try to evade death, so incidentally they avoid their fears, and this is instinctively built into all beings. People strengthen themselves to avoid fear. As Nodt is certain that it is not possible for fear to be ineffective as long as the individual is alive. After this monologue, Rukia states that she will explain why fear will not work against her, because she does not have life in her current state. As Nodt struggles to understand her as she explains that Sode no Shirayuki is not a zanpakuto that emits freezing air from its tip. It is in fact a blade that lowers the temperature of its user to below freezing. Whatever Rukia touches ends up freezing, and a zanpakuto is an extension of her body, allowing her to increase the range of her power. The Sternritter refuses to believe her because below freezing the body will cease all molecular motion. Life cannot be supported under such conditions, and there is no way that Rukia can remain alive like this. She states that at the moment she is in fact dead, and she had acquired the means to temporarily kill her body by controlling her reishi. All molecular movements have stopped within her, and the fear that didn't get into her body stops functioning on the surface of her body. As Nodt exclaims that this is ridiculous, but Rukia appears behind him, explaining that at minus 18 degrees his blood will begin to freeze and it will not flow from a wound. At minus 60, the moisture in the ground beneath her feet will freeze, causing an icequake. At minus 273 degrees, which is absolute zero, a state she can only sustain for 4 seconds, she takes this opportunity to attack the Quincy, freezing him entirely from the attack, making As Nodt wonder if this is what fear feels like. After appearing to have defeated her opponent, she gradually raises her body temperature once again. If she does this too quickly, then her body tissue will break down. It is evident that she still has a lot to learn when it comes to mastering her power. She had slightly exceeded the 4 seconds allowed for her staying at absolute zero, which had resulted in a cut forming on her finger. As Nodt asks himself if this is what ordinary people call fear, as he states that this is not what he is afraid of. He yells out that his only fear is to be scolded by Yhwach and to have his body taken away from him. In a frightening manner, he breaks out of his frozen prison. Nothing in battle affects him as he activates his terrifying holy form. This results in his mask crumbling away, revealing a decomposing mouth. Her zanpakuto is surprisingly unable to reach him as Rukia realizes that she is paralyzed and unable to move. Fear should not be affecting her, but the Sternritter reveals that his holy form induces fear through the optic nerve as she is surrounded by his wall of fear-inducing eyes. Rukia counters this power by closing her eyes, but he explains that she cannot escape because closing her eyes will only amplify the effect of his power. She screams and begins to succumb to fear, with the Quincy stating that her mind will now be ripped apart by the fears that she has been trying to avoid. Now, before she is defeated, Byakuya thankfully intervenes by breaking through the walls of eyes in order to help her. As Nodt wastes little time and begins to taunt Byakuya as he questions how his insides are after they were gouged out by him, explaining how his entire stomach was scraped out and that he must now be hungry, as he also comments on how Byakuya has lost some weight. Rukia realizes that As Nodt was trying to lure out her brother and she warns him not to look into his eyes, but the Quincy says that it's already too late. Byakuya, who is very different from their first encounter, destroys his eyes after surrounding the area with his Zenbon petals. As Nodt actually assumes here that he is using his Bankai, but Byakuya reveals that he is only using his Shikai, and this demonstrates just how much he has improved, with his Shikai being mistaken for his Bankai. Byakuya states that thanks to his Bankai being stolen, he was able to reassess the essence of Zenbon which he had forgotten, thus strengthening his bond with his zanpakuto. As Nodt's body begins to contort and transform as he yells out repeatedly that he will not kill Byakuya. Instead, he is going to make him feel true despair and terror. He will bring him to a state where he will be begging for his life. Now, while he is transforming, Byakuya turns to Rukia as he reveals that he had felt her Reiatsu while he was leaving from the royal palace, and he compliments her on how much stronger she has become. Rukia is deeply moved by Byakuya's acknowledgement as she thinks back on their troubled past and how far both of them have come. Byakuya asks if Rukia still has any fears, to which Rukia replies that she doesn't, as she no longer has insecurity within her heart. So incidentally, there is no place for fear to be born from. Byakuya states that he will not defeat him, but it will be Rukia who will defeat the Sternritter. He reassures her that what she is seeing from As Nodt is not fear. If she feels no fear herself, then she will identify As Nodt's appearance as a reflection of his own fright. Rukia then activates her Bankai Haka no Togame anime, which creates a tall white pillar of mist that completely freezes the Quincy. Her power is that strong that it instantly kills the Quincy the second that her Bankai is deactivated. As Nodt remembers his past during his final moments, and he expresses how he is afraid of death and going to hell. The Sternritter's body crumbles away before he apologizes to Yhwach for failing. Now, Byakuya arriving to assist Rukia was a superb full circle moment, which highlights how far his character has come since the Soul Society arc. Towards the end of the Substitute Shinigami arc, we learned that Rukia was brought into the Kuchiki family 40 years ago, and not once in that time did Byakuya look at her and let alone acknowledge her. This is why the role that Byakuya plays during the Rukia vs As Nodt battle was pivotal in understanding the growth of his character. Over the course of the series, Byakuya softens. He protects Rukia from Aizen during the end of the Soul Society arc. He defeats Zomari because he had dared to point his sword at his pride, referring to Rukia as his pride, and now he appears before Rukia when she falters and succumbs to As Nodt's wall of fear-inducing eyes. He completely embraces his role as her older brother by acknowledging how far she has come. I love that you can feel how proud he is of her after seeing her strength and progress. It's very satisfying to witness, and while I have made a video on this channel about why I think Byakuya should have died during the 1000-year Blood War arc, it makes me feel conflicted when I think back to the role that he had played during Rukia's battle against As Nodt. I loved seeing him hold onto Rukia's hand, helping her to slowly thaw out her Bankai, also complementing it by stating that it is truly a splendid Bankai, as he reminds her that it is a dangerous power and she needs to use it carefully. Now this, in my opinion, is a masterclass in character writing, and Kubo excels at introducing these captivating character flaws and gradually rectifying them via well-written character writing where you believe the progression and growth of his characters. Byakuya complimenting and acknowledging Rukia was one of my favourite moments from the 1000-year Blood War arc, and it would be hard for me not to mention it while breaking down Rukia's battle against As Nodt. Rukia fighting against the Sternritter with a power called the Fear and getting revenge for how her brother was disrespected during the first Quincy invasion was an incredible way to kick off the second invasion of the Quincy. I loved talking about this very satisfactory battle where Rukia reveals a Bankai, As Nodt showcases the full extent of his terrifying power, and Byakuya proves that he is in fact the bestest older brother. Now this is yet another battle that I am really looking forward to seeing adapted into the second cour of the 1000-year Blood War arc anime. But alas, we have reached the point of the video where I want to hand over the discussion to all of you. What were your thoughts about Rukia vs As Nodt? Did you like the direction that Kubo had taken with this fight, or did you want Byakuya to get some revenge against As Nodt? Do you think that Kubo did well by conveying how far Byakuya's character has come, and did you love seeing Rukia's Bankai reveal? And lastly, did Kubo do justice to As Nodt's character as well as his formidable power? I'm super excited to read all of your comments, and finally, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I cannot wait to see you in my next Bleach Explained video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.